Hi guys, we are going to be doing a 15-minute yoga practice today. It's going to be focusing on the hips. So if you're feeling tight there, we're going to get into them and you're going to feel great afterwards. All you need is your lovely self on your mat, and we'll begin in our seated position right here. So in this seated position, you can have your palms down or up, whatever serves you well. We're going to start off with the eyes closed for a little bit of mindfulness. Take a big breath in through the nose, sit up nice and tall. And as you exhale, soften the shoulders, knees and hips. Take a few more long breaths here. Settling into your practice. Becoming mindful of the body and the hips in particular. Notice how they feel right now. And at the beginning of each pose, let's take a nice big twist first. I love to start our poses with a twist. So you can open up your eyes, reach the arms out wide, palms face up. We'll inhale, big sweeping reach up high. And exhale, twist to your right hand side first. The right fingertips ground behind you and your left hand can hold on to that right knee. Turn the gaze over behind you and soften the shoulders, knees and hips once again. So nice gentle twist here. Take another breath. Let it all go. Inhale to spin back to the front. Take a wide reach again. Exhale to your left. Couple breaths here. Finding length and depth in this beautiful twist. Soften the knees, hips and shoulders slightly. Last breath here. And we'll inhale, spin it back, big sweeping reach up high. We're going to exhale down through heart center, follow it through onto all fours. So I'll meet you into tabletop. Once you're there, let's inhale. We're going to sit back onto our untucked toes, bring the toes to touch. Walk the hands back as well, and we're going to widen our knees to the width of the mat to start off with. From there, walk the hands out nice and far in front, shoulder width apart, and the fingers spread out wide, letting the chest melt down in between the legs and the forehead to rest to the mat. We're going to take a few moments here, find some long breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Really feel yourself melting into this child pose. Find energy in the fingers, so the fingers are spread out nice and wide. Elbows are lifted. And the hips are really sinking towards the heels. Take one more breath here. Really melt into it. As you inhale, lift the hand, walk the hands back towards us again. And we're going to go a little wider, as wide as the knees want to go here. We're going to get into the inner thighs a bit and right in the deep hip joint. So knees are as wide as comfortable. If as wide as they were before is as far as you can go, that's totally fine. Stay there. Keep the hips down. They will creep up a little bit, but just walk them back, sink them in. We're going to then walk our arms back out long, so shoulder width apart, fingers spread out wide, think of energy fingers, and allow the chest to melt down again. We really want to rest the forehead here, so if you can't rest your forehead, grab a block or a cushion or something underneath your head and rest that third eye down. So let's sink into this. Letting the hips become heavy, not letting them lift off the heels too much. Elbows are still lifted and engaged. Finding space in the hips, the inner thighs. Take one more breath here. Inhale, lift the head, walk the hands back towards us again. Bring the knees back together nice and gently. Beautiful. Let's come back into tabletop. And we're going to come into downward facing dog. So just reach your hands a little further to the top of your mat. Tuck the toes underneath and lift the hips high. We want to have bent knees to start off with. And look past your ankles, so we're really dropping the chest down. Once we are there, start to pedal out the legs if that feels nice. Walking out any tension through the hamstrings and the calves. Finding some space. We're then going to come into plank pose. So find stillness in your downward dog. Inhale, roll forwards into a hand plank. You might need to step your feet further back or wriggle them back if you're too far close in. All right. From there, we're going to bring our right knee, hover it in behind the right wrist and ground it down. So right knee, right wrist. Wriggle that right foot across the mat then. Use your toes, or you can even just very gently move it with your left hand. Try and avoid that if you can. Drop the left knee down. Use your left foot here to inch yourself back and into our pigeon pose. Untuck the left toes then once you've settled in. If you can lift up onto the fingertips, go for it. If you're already struggling here, just stay down on the hands, maybe a little bend in the elbows even. Lift through the chest, nice long spine here. Sinking the shoulders down, melting the hips into the mat. We're trying to create space here through that right outer hip area. You might even feel this in the hamstrings. Every time you get distracted in your thoughts, come back to the breath and connect it with the body. We're going to come down onto the elbows now, if you're not already there perhaps. So coming right down, it gives the wrists a break, but it does take a lot more stretch out of the left hip flexor, if you were feeling it there perhaps. We're all different, so don't worry if you feel it somewhere else that I haven't mentioned. You're probably just tight in that area. I give you as many cues as I can without overloading you, so you should be doing it right. And finding space in this beautiful lying pigeon pose. Feel free to drop the head down by tucking the chin and holding there. Let's count 3 breath here. Breathing together now. Let's find a breath in through the nose. Out through the nose. Breathing in length and space. Breathing out the tightness that you can feel. Inhale, length. Exhale, sinking into the space. Let's move on. Inhale, lift the chest, rise back up onto the hands. We're going to tuck the left toes underneath and just inch ourselves a little higher with the hips. We'll come back to downward facing dog here. So use your tummy muscles, sweep it back to downward dog. Take a moment. You can have knees bent here if that serves you well. We're going to go straight to the left side because it's a short practice here today. Inhale, roll to plank pose. Straight in with the left knee behind the left wrist. Walk that left foot across as much as it wants to go. And then drop that right knee down. Inch the hips back with that right leg helping you sink into it. Ooh, we're feeling tight here today on this side. And untuck the toes. So don't worry if you're feeling lopsided. It's completely normal because what we do throughout our days when we're not doing yoga really sets us into what we are now. So if you have, a lot of stairs, say, and you have a dominant leg, you're always going to lead with that leg first, and that's going to cause tightness there. So yeah, just acknowledge any difference from side to side here. We're going to rise up onto the fingertips if that suits you. Otherwise, stay on the palms. That's totally fine. Lifting tall through the chest and chin. Sinking the shoulders down. Letting the hips also sink towards the mat. Keep your tummy active here. Finding your breath in and out through the nose. If it's really tight, you might want to breathe out through the mouth. I only suggest that if it's really uncomfortable or there's a hell of a lot of tension there or your mind is just running wild, okay? So breathe out anything that doesn't serve you right now. Find space in this moment right now. Let go of thoughts, let go of tension throughout the body. Just remain as present as can be. Now we're going to come down onto the elbows. So make your way down there. Nice wide elbows. It's a lot more easy. Or I should say better English, it's easier. And you can let the head drop down a little if that suits you better. If you're wanting to stay active today, I would keep the neck elevated. So really noticing how different this pose changes from that incline we were at to this recline on our elbows. Take one more breath here before moving on. We're going to rise back up onto the hands. From here then though, we're going to sweep it into a seated position. So just be careful, but we're going to roll onto that left hip. You can manually help that right leg back around, coming into a cross-legged seated position. So you can have your right leg in front here, keep that right leg in front. We're going to inhale, sit up tall, and just wriggle your hips forwards here. So what we're going to do is come into a fold, reach the arms out in front. If they're grounding just in front there, that's fine. If you've got more space, feel free to fold down, and you might need to just wriggle your feet in or out. So a good width here for the knees and ankles is to have the knees and ankles pretty much underneath each other. The wider they are, the more pressure it's going to put on the knees and the ankles rather. So really try and snug that cross leg in. And let's sink into a cross-legged forward fold. So you can let the back round here. Let the elbows drop down, become heavy. Try not to force yourself into that pose. Surrender into it. Your body's going to trust you and love you more for it. Let's just take one more breath here. Inhale, lift the chest and chin, walk it back in. We're going to cross the legs over the other way. So left leg in front. This one or the other side might feel a little weird. This always feels a little uncoordinated for me. So nice, close cross legs. Sit up nice and tall. And exhale, fold into it. Reach the arms out in front. Start to drop the elbows down. Even just a little makes a big difference. Rounding through the back, tucking the chin down and finding space here. Let go of any ego or effort. You won't be here for long, just make yourself as comfortable as can be, letting the muscles be slightly uncomfortable though. All right, let's move on. Last breath, breathe it all in. Let yourself surrender in the exhale. Inhale, lift the chest, walk the hands back up towards us. Hands come behind us, fingers can point in any direction you like. We'll uncross the legs, bring the feet to the width of the mat. From there, we're going to roll both knees over to the right side, and you'll notice that your hip will probably come off the ground to start off with, and that's okay. So your left hip will rise up, bring it back to center, over to the left. Inhale back, over to the exhale right. Inhale back, exhale to the left. And this next time, inhale it up, over to the right again, but try not to let your hip leave the mat. So bring it back. See, you can even move your left hand and see if you can place it under your left bum cheek. If you can, it's too high. So you can let the right leg relax and the left knee as well, but notice that it won't be as low. And this is one of my weaknesses, this sort of external rotation, or actually, sorry, rather internal rotation. Beautiful. Breathe through that. Keep the chest centered, long. I'm going to go over to the other side. Inhale it back up. Exhale, ground the hips. Lean over to the left with the knees. Let the left leg relax and the right knee to also follow that direction without the hip coming up. So don't let that bum off the ground. Keep it grounded. Move the hands however you need to for your wrists. Tummy active here, so there's not too much pressure on them. Should feel really deep on this right side. Last breath here, long spine. Exhale into it. And we're going to inhale out of it. We'll come into a seated cross-legged position. I'm going to spin around and face you guys. And you can rest the hands to the lap. So from this seated position, if you have an essential oil handy, I'm going to grab that. I just magically have one by my side. This I have is rose today, which literally smells like rose petals. So if you've got an oil, preferably in a roller bottle if you can, try not to pop it straight on the hand unless it's diluted. So roll onto the hand, pop the lid back on. I'm going to rub the hands together. Hands are freezing today. And we're going to take 3 big breaths. When we take the breath, bring the hands up to the face. And then as we exhale, bring the hands to the heart. Let's go. Inhale, hands to the face. Hands to the heart, side out. Again, inhale. Exhale. Last one, biggest breath yet. Breathe it right into the belly. Doesn't that feel good? With our prayer pose, let's bring the thumbs and rest them up at your third eye, in between the eyebrows. With my thumbs at my third eye, my thoughts are pure and clear. With my thumbs to my lips, my speech is pure and clear. With my thumbs to my chest, my heart is pure and clear. I'd love you now to take a moment and find at least one thing to be grateful for today, affirming with I am grateful for, filling in the blanks. I am so grateful for you to join me here today, as always. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Namaste.